Toriko chapter 253, The Tiger's Tears. This is basically, I believe, the conclusion of Midora's backstory. So the chapter begins with Acacia and Frohze leaving the disciples behind, heading towards wherever God is to capture it, along with the Blue Nitros. Sadly, we don't get to see what happened during their journey because this is all Midora's point of view, but I would really like to see that or learn a little bit more about the Blue Nitros. We know that the Blue Nitros are connected to God. They're probably connected to Acacia's full course. Now, I counted the Blue Nitros in the flashback. There are 7. So maybe they represent Acacia's full course, maybe? Minus God? I don't know. It's still up for speculation. So yeah, Acacia and Frohze left. Midora didn't want them to go. Well, mostly Frohze, but he couldn't say it. Now, several months later after they left, the gourmet solar eclipse happened. Food supplies were decreased, and in just 1 month, the entire Earth was covered in darkness. Ichiri and the others did try to do everything they can to deliver the ingredients, but at that point, when the solar eclipse happened, Midora was starting to slowly slip into darkness. He hasn't fully turned evil yet, but he is going to eventually at this chapter. Now in the flashback, we actually get another flashback of when Midora was a kid. And he really didn't understand why Frohze made all this food for everybody, worked so hard to make his food for everybody, especially when some of the people he saw weren't really grateful for it. But Frohze told him it was because she is a chef and because she wants lots of people to eat all the food they want. For anything in this world, its true value is born only when it's shared. The same goes for my cooking. Something you made only for yourself has no value at all. But still, Midora does not really understand this. And then all of a sudden we got a panel of Acacia carrying Frohze. And I know some of you guys are all, what the hell just happened? This happened before the solar eclipse ended. And Frohze was incredibly weakened. But within a couple days of rest, she would be okay. So Jiro and Setsuno went off to gather some ingredients. But Acacia went to tell Ichiri something which we don't know what he told him, sadly. Apparently the reason why Frohze was exhausted was because she was cooking God. God was an ingredient she wasn't used to. She used up all her stamina. So if God managed to severely exhaust Frohze, which begs the question, what kind of ingredient is God? I mean, what is it? This made her exhausted even with food immersion. So God must be incredibly intense, whatever it is. I really wish we get to see what happened during their journey with the Blue Nitros and capturing God, but no, we didn't get to see it. I know this is Midora's point of view, but I really want to know more about it, but we probably won't get that anytime soon, sadly. This Midora was pissed that she was weakened because of cooking God. He thought it wasn't normal that she cooked something for the sake of others, and it brought her into this condition. So he's going to try to get some cure water to help her since she has gourmet cells. And he knew about, I guess, her gourmet cells ability when she changed appearances whenever she cooked seriously. He went off to get some cure water. However, it was on the same location where one of the 8 kings, the Dragon King Darius, it was the one where its tooth was made into Komatsu's new milk kitchen knife. He got injured by fighting the Dragon King Darius, but he only managed to gather a little bit of cure water. His injuries were a bit severe that Frohze has no choice but to use her God cooking to make a meal for him to help him. But because of the severe exhaustion that she went through by cooking God, that or activating the God cooking, which by the way, if you notice, the hair is all flowy, similar to Midora's. So maybe this was Midora's hairstyle was a bit of a tribute to Frohze, I don't know. Even though he wanted to help her, in the end, she was going to help him. And that costed her life. Because this was Frohze's final dish. Because she pushed herself too far, her body suffered fatal damage. Jiro and Setsuno came back with the ingredients, and they see Frohze on the floor, and Midora crying over her. Jiro tries to use knocking to help her, but in the end, it was all futile because Frohze is now dead. It's kind of sad, really. I don't know whether I should feel bad for Midora, but part of me actually doesn't want him, because she was going to be okay within a few days of rest. I know Midora meant well to help her by getting cure water, but if he didn't go off to get the cure water, then Frohze wouldn't have to like cook a special meal for Midora to help him. I do feel bad for Midora, but I don't know who really to blame here. I'm a bit conflicted here. And you know what's even more sad is that not a lot of people in the world of Toriko knew about Frohze and her sacrifices she made. I mean, the fact that she was the one that cooked God and nobody knew about it. Well, not nobody, but only very few people knew about it, but not a lot. They knew about Acacia, but they didn't know about Frohze, which that makes it even more sad. Frohze has been buried on top of this hill. Ichiryu looks sad. Jiro and Setsuno were struggling to cry, but Setsuno had tears in her eyes, and Midora was crying like crazy. We see Acacia kneeling in front of Frohze's tombstone, or grave marker, I don't know. He said, "Continue to live means continuing to eating things, and continuing to eating things means to keep killing things. Nature is always giving life to us. That is why we share food and life." So Acacia tells everybody that they have to survive enough for Frohze's sake. He has to go on a journey. And even he starts to tear up. And he even said, "Forgive me, Frohze," which is kind of sad because I really want to know more about Frohze and Acacia's relationship. Maybe they really did have a thing going on. I don't know. Anyway, the journey I'm assuming that he was going to is going to distribute God to everybody to stop the Gourmet War. Midora runs off to God knows where. A few days later, every single day, Midora would go get some cure water. Even though he would fight against the Dragon King Darius, he would still get injured, but it doesn't matter because every day he would get that water, pour it on Frohze's grave, hoping that she would come back. One day, his stomach started to growl. I guess he didn't really have anything to eat during those days ever since Frohze died. But he was really pissed that his stomach was growling even though he's mourning over Frohze's loss, and starts he starts elbowing himself in the gut, saying, "Damn it, God damn it, God fucking damn it." Again, kind of sad. Gourmet War has finally reached to an end. Thanks to, God, of course. However, even though everything was all peaceful, Midora then started to slip even more into the darkness. You see his eye, and then he starts saying, "You bastards, you bastards." So I'm assuming he's gone evil because Frohze exhausted herself severely because she wanted to cook for everybody. And he felt like not everybody was grateful for what Frohze has done, and because of this, he was evil. Maybe that's why. I don't know. There hasn't been like a complete full answer at the moment, but it's something that we could probably assume. It's because he thinks that humanity wasn't really grateful for Frohze's sacrifice, and Frohze was like a mother to him, and that was probably why he was evil and formed the Bishokugai. So more time went on, and we see an older Midora and Ichiryu, and this is basically where their so-called fight happened over 500 years ago. Apparently, Acacia was sealing away his full course, and he said that God, as his main dish, must not be found. So maybe God is something forbidden that Acacia doesn't want anybody to find. Considering that it can severely exhaust the god of chefs herself, then maybe it is risky. I really want to know what God looks like. However, Midora was betraying Acacia's orders, and he's looking for his full course. And Ichiryu plans on stopping Midora. But Midora says that Acacia told us to live enough for Frohze as well. So in his way, he's going to consume everything, including God, and all of Acacia's full course. All the ingredients, enough for Frohze's portion as well. So Ichiryu has no choice but to fight Midora, and these two fight, but we don't get to see their fight that happened over 500 years ago because this is the conclusion of Midora's backstory. So we get another narration saying, "Those days back then shined like gold, so we would never ever forget." And we see a panel of Frohze, Acacia, and the disciples sharing a happy meal, like one big happy family. But the chapter ends with we see Frohze's grave, and we see something protruding from the ground. Oh my god! Frohze is a zombie! So yeah, that is chapter 253. What did I think? This was actually a nice conclusion to Midora's backstory. Granted, it's still a little bit unclear how Midora became evil, but I think it was because of he hated the fact that Frohze had to sacrifice everything to cook for everybody. But then again, if he didn't go off to get the cure water, then Frohze wouldn't have to use all what's left of her strength to make a meal and heal Midora. I don't want to blame Midora, but I don't know. I really don't know how to feel. I feel bad for him, but she was gonna be okay within a few days of rest. But in the end, she died. But from what I can believe from this backstory, he hated the fact that Frohze had to like sacrifice everything from her cooking to save everybody, to stop this gourmet war. Even though he did see some people who were completely ungrateful for Frohze's food, and he hated that. So maybe that was what drove him to become evil. And I think that Frohze's death was the final straw. But the ending, where we see something pop out of his grave, which I don't know what it is. We don't see what it is, but we just see the ground, like something protruding from the ground. We don't see what it is. But it could be Frohze. But then again, how the hell did the cure water work if the person is dead? So if the person is dead, are the gourmet cells still a little bit active? I don't get it. But if Frohze really did come back from the dead, does this mean that the Joa we know really was Frohze? An undead Frohze, a Frohze zombie. Joa is Frohze as a zombie. Oh my god, that would be freaky. Then again, we don't know if that really is Frohze, and if it is Frohze, why did she create Neo? I don't know. But at the end of the chapter, we get a text saying, the shocking history of the 3 disciples has been revealed. Now next issue, Midora finally blank. So next week's chapter, I'm assuming we're getting back to the original flashback of the fight between Ichiryu and Midora. Now, the caption said Midora finally blank, which means either he really did kill off Ichiryu, which would freaking suck if we saw that, but I mean seriously, I think he was being eaten by that invisible Oshoku Bansan, and if he is getting eaten, that means there would be nothing left of Ichiryu. But then again, maybe we'll finally get to see what led to Midora unleashing meteor spice on the human world. You know what, I kind of understand why he was being evil, because he's seen some people who were ungrateful or weren't thankful for Frohze's cooking from the previous chapter, I think, and because of Frohze, who was severely exhausted herself for cooking God for the sake of everybody, I think he blamed humanity for her death and wanted to consume everything so that he can survive for Frohze's sake. That's my theory. It's a bit unclear, but maybe you guys can clear it up for me. Well, I'm a bit unclear with it. I'm not sure, but hey, maybe Frohze really is Joa, rose from the grave or something. But overall, the flashback, Midora's backstory, I thought it was really good. This was actually kind of a sad conclusion, but this was nice. We don't get to see the fight that happened over 500 years ago, but we'll get back to the original flashback and see probably the conclusion between the other fight, the current fight in the flashback, the Ichiryu Midora fight. Maybe Ichiryu really has been eaten until there's nothing left. Maybe he's officially dead. Maybe we'll get to see Midora unleash meteor spice in the human world. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see next week's chapter. But I am looking forward to it. So yeah, that is Toriko chapter 253. I'm going to respond to 27, and I will see you guys later. Bye.